Let me ask Mikhail to go on and tell us a little bit about the music you're doing tonight. One is your composition, and it was inspired by a piece of John Cage's that involves glissandi called Ryoanji, but you've made your own version of a piece. And in the second case, you're playing the American premiere of 113 by John Cage. He had a series of number pieces. The number 1 means how many people are playing it. 13, the superscript, means this is the 13th solo piece that he wrote in that series. So 113 was not completed at the time of his death in 1992, but you were working with him at the time on this piece, and you proceeded to finish it, and it's a co-composition. Maybe you could tell us a little bit about these two pieces and what's different about them and how the bow is involved.
Yeah, well, many questions at once. Yeah. Maybe you know the pieces which Cage wrote, spatial pieces actually also, Ryoanji for different instruments. He made also drawings and with that, paintings with that title. Ryoanji is a Zen garden in Japan, in Kyoto, and you have a gravel, or what do you call it, gravel field with the stones, gravel field, yeah. Yes, and there are big rocks on it, 15 rocks.
How many people have been there? Anybody?
Yeah.
Really? Aha, that's wonderful.
And well, usually people are, since centuries, people are coming there meditating and thinking about questions why the stones are situated like that, and why you have only one possibility to see the field, only from one side you can see it, you can't go around it. So usually you don't see all rocks, and this is the second question, which is very well known, and people are thinking about that. And well, Cage did write these pieces for voice, for oboe, for trombone, for bass, and another instrument I've forgotten. And he used 15 templates, which were outlines of little stones, and he used that to write a glissandi for the instrument in a certain space. So you had sounds like ooh, and for that you need an interval to make that. It can be bigger or very small. And when we wanted to write a piece for cello in '92, we discussed very long time how big the biggest interval could be before we used chance operations to find the smaller intervals out of this big range. And you can, there's a book by John Ritalek, Music Cage, you can follow this discussion. And we didn't pay attention to the question, how small could the interval be? So when we used chance operations to find 8 intervals out of this big range, the third interval was a prime. So it was the same pitch. So there was no...
By that you mean an octave?
No, not an octave, a prime. That means the same pitch. At the same pitch.
So there was no range from here to there.
There was no range.
From there to there.
And Cage wanted to ignore that, and I said no. and because I thought we shouldn't manipulate the chance, you know. And this also, and second, this also gives you the opportunity to play a prime in different versions, different. So I already had suggested to Cage to write a piece for the curved bow, but he denied that. He didn't want that. It should make the piece too complicated, too difficult to play, he thought. I thought it would be nice to have a three-dimensional what do you call it?
Quotations.
Yes, quotations. Three-dimensional glissando. That means if I play this on not only on one string, on 2 or 3 strings, the pitches couldn't be the same all the time, so it will make small interferences, like you see a stone maybe from different sides or whatever, and he didn't want that. And when this prime appeared, I came back with the curved bow. I said, the next day, I said, I can play this, it was F sharp, I can play this F sharp in 20 different versions on the cello. And he was shocked. And he said, oh, we make another piece, this would be 113. And then he found out by chance, out of the same range, big range, 7 other pitches. Also the first pitch would be if F sharp for 113. And the other 7 pitches we found out, for example, the next pitch is the G over the, not the middle C, the next C. So this G has 101 possibilities to play it on the cello. And on the piano you only have 1 key. So this was enough reason to work on that, you know.
So in the piece that you've composed by yourself, there are glissandos, and what about in the Cage piece where you are collaborating?
Okay, the 1892 piece is a sketch which developed during our talk on July 18, and it shows actually I gave him 2 big ranges, and it shows that, and there's 8 intervals with the prime, and I made a version for cello and pre-recorded material that so the 2 big ranges were played as a glissando line on the cello. It's not, if you hear that piece, it's not it's really played on the cello, and the other glissando too, you have to change the string, so it's very difficult to make a glissando. The piece is 7 minutes to make this glissando very slowly, and the third loudspeaker gives you the differentials of both, and because the 2 lines are crossing at one point in the middle, and the differential is the difference between the frequency. So when they are crossing, the frequency is 0, and you will hear the differentials are going down very deep and disappear in the middle, and the differential glissando comes back and goes very high then.
So you're playing with a pre-recorded cello?
Yes.
Aha, okay. And
I'm playing the intervals, actually.
Now in the piece with Cage, though, you're playing just sustained tones that are very long, right?
Yes, yes.
And then there's silence, and then you play again another tone.
Yes.
Why is that interesting?
Well, I don't know. It's paradox. It's really paradox, because I have these curved bows. I can play multiple sounds on the cello and have developed all these possibilities, and what you hear is only 1 pitch. So hopefully, because it's really very difficult to play this 1 pitch and not to play another one.
How long will this go on?
I don't tell you.
Oh, really? Well, we have a surprise in store. Don't tell anybody else who's out there.
Anyway, it's very interesting to have sound and no sound.
Mm-hmm.
And what
Yeah,
happens
you used
after
that a lot
that.
last night. That's right.
Well, I use it a lot for the last 60 or 50 or 40 years.
Silence.
You know, because when a sound enters, it's something like a magnet, and it pulls your attention towards it. And then once the sound is gone, you know, what are you going to do? You know, I think the best thing to do is to do nothing and just try to find out what that silence means, because every silence that come in that sequence of sound and silence is different. And you can feel those differences, but you can't really measure them, because the differences is felt kind of with your own condition as a human being. You know. Sorry.
It's the entire theory of Musik that was used in grocery stores. The sound is on for 15 minutes, and then you turn it off, and then you turn it back on, and people start, and it's a little faster tempo, and people start shopping a little faster. And this was scientifically developed by a former Army colonel, I think, who made millions and millions with this realization that silence was almost more important. So
I heard once that cows give more milk if they hear Mozart. That was a research too. I mean, you can say everything what comes into your mind.